Do you believe in God?
I don't know. I believe in Jesus. And I wish he were coming back to punish all of these people, but the story sounds very rational to me. Drive the money changers out of the temple, honor their father and mother and everything. But I wasn't reared spiritually. I told you when Kennedy said to Pope John at the Vatican, he said, "How many people work here?" And the Pope said, "About a third." So, he's a good guy, that Pope. Peace Pope.
The current Pope?
No, the old guy, John the 23rd.
Yes.
Yeah.
I asked you if you believed in God.
Yeah.
And you said, I believe in Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm going to restate my question. Do you believe in
Do
God?
I have any integrity? If a beautiful girl were asking me that, would I say yes? That's the question. That's really...
I ain't her.
Kensley asked me that, when I met her. She said, "Do you believe in God?" I said, "Do you?" She said, "I believe in Jesus, but I don't think he's coming back." And I said, "I've never been so disappointed in my life. I thought he'd come back and slap them on the wrist for the way they're treating one another." I like the idea of universal justice. "Father, why have you forsaken me?" A lot of that is pretty good stuff.
Jesus was the Son of God. Do you believe in his Father? Do you believe that there is a higher power?
Not that I can see. I wish there were. The literary side of me, I wish there was retribution. In fact, it terrifies me that this is all an accident. Hawking is afraid of artificial intelligence. I like him. I like him a lot. Because he was presented sympathetically in a movie. I don't think this country would treat him sympathetically. By the way, the best piece of tape I can tell our viewers, our listeners, is a piece of tape at Princeton between Ed Murrow and Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer.
Yeah, that's some piece of tape. You see two cogent minds. Then you look at CBS News now. You can even look at Princeton now. And Oppenheimer, of course, says, "I have become death." Now, a girl named Jacobson wrote a book about Area 51. She says the teller set off 10 bombs after Jack signed the Non-Proliferation Treaty in Area 51. She worked for the LA Times. Good book. Area 51.
I brought up the question
Yeah.
of God and religion because, multiple reasons. But I've heard you speak peripherally about this subject over
sure.
the years. I always loved your quote that you found the Apostle Paul appealing, the Apostle Peter appalling. That's always stuck with me. You never struck me as being a religious man.
I use it to intimidate people so that they won't even think about victimizing the person next to them. I like the sense of punishment that it brings about. It brings order out of chaos, but I don't subscribe to any of that. I mean, how could those people in Israel be treating the Palestinians that way? That's the Home Office. And they have a hard time laughing here, when Netanyahu finishes his address to the Congress, and he says, "I want to thank Sheldon Adelson for the use of the hall." They have a lot of trouble with that.
Yeah.
They think of those guys as benefactors. But I don't know. Do you ever flirt with the idea that there's some universal authority?
I do, and believe there is.
Well, listen, I could be wrong. I've invoked it in studio meetings to terrify them. You know, he'll be back, and he's going to remember who told the truth. He's a very convincing figure. Father, why have you forsaken me? And let you who cast the first stone. There's a very good movie, by the way, called Jesus of Montreal, which is about a group of French players who make a movie about Jesus and become like him in the process. And then he goes to Mary's house, and he has betrayed his trust. And she says, you can't come in. And he said, well, anybody can sleep with you anyway. And she says, except you. Wonderful. I remembered it after all these years. Only a movie can do that. And they don't know how to make them anymore because they have no conviction. Some people have conviction. Chris and I were talking about this. Woody's making a movie with Bruce Willis. The first guy to know Willis was talented was Paul Newman. He said, not just a lightweight who plays a policeman. This guy's a real actor. And then Blake Edwards got the message.
I brought up religion, and I brought up God.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons, not the least of which is your thinking about mortality.
Oh.
Reincarnation, where souls go, what happens. Surely, you've given some thought to the end game.
Well, I've been wondering, you know, when that day comes, yes, if anybody will show up. That bothers me a lot. But
they'll all show up, but all the people who you wouldn't want to have show up will show up. You know that.
Yes, Sinatra used to get spooked at that, you know.
Tell me.
Yeah, when people would go, more funerals. Remember Joe Bushkin, who played the piano for Tommy Dorsey?
Sure.
Joe Bushkin used to say to me, did you hear about Wally? I said, what happened? He said, he took a cab. That meant, you know. But most of the good guys are gone, you know. I mean, Stan only made it to 67. Bill Evans. Boy, Desmond.
Do you think about your own mortality?
No. No, I'm not that courageous. No, gosh, no. And we keep going to doctors as if they know anything. You know, why don't you get an x-ray of your heart and all that? You know, General Haig had a 5-way, and DeBakey did it. And Haig used to call him and he'd say, how's it looking? What do you mean? He'd say, can I buy any new suits? Great guy, by the way. Guys on the other side really surprise you. Love doesn't have any boundaries. I really love that guy from here. And he loved me. Here's General Haig sitting there working for Nixon, working for Kissinger, and he's got a shawl sweater on from Dick Carroll's store, and he says, Mort Sahl gave me this sweater. General Haig, the guy who stopped the Falklands War. But it was just, love is very natural if you allow it to be. I think. I mean, we're together after all this time in a way that other people aren't together. And I don't think it's principle. Oh. I mean, you know a lot of people with principle, but here we are talking. I mean, I wonder how many people at KPFK wonder about Roy going home alone. Probably none. I remember the night he announced you were going to be on there. And I realized you never cut the ropes to the mothership. You know, wow. You were like 5 weeks behind in your salary when I met you over there. your fictitious salary.
It was $40 a week. It wasn't bad.
But you don't give up easily. You don't give up in yourself. You don't give up in people. And there's certainly enough evidence to encourage you. You know, the search for a mate alone is just, but there's no haven in hating anybody.
I think about my mortality. I think
You
about,
do?
I think
Well, I'm
about
sure you
dying.
do. That's
Yeah.
why you brought it up.
Yeah. I turned 70. I turned
Yeah.
70. And a friend of mine, Robert Earl, is the CEO of Planet Hollywood. I've known him for years, worked for him, love him. And we were having a discussion. He said, okay, so you're 70. How many great years do you think you have left? How many really great, not how long you're going to live. My father lived to be 99. His mother lived to be 102. He said, I'm not asking you how long you think you're going to live. I'm asking how many great years? I said, I don't know, Robert. I'm 70 now. Maybe 10 more years, maybe 20 more, meaningful years, God willing, with good health, etc. And he said, okay, 10 years is 120 months. 20 years is 240 months. So your best case scenario is you've got 240 months. How was last month? What he was trying to do, as you probably already surmised, is putting life in context. How much time is being wasted? How many dreams are being fulfilled and being realized? And if I'm given the 120 or the 240 months, and cut away 8 hours for alleged sleep and cut away 6 hours for work,
Yeah.
you'll suddenly realize that moments like this might not come again. I'm sitting here with Mort. I don't know how many more times I'm going to be sitting here with Mort.
That's why I work. It's reaffirming to get up and do it. Not a matter of the rent, it's a matter of, like Burl used to say to me, retire to what? So he used to say, good guy, generous to a fault.
Yeah, I interviewed him, spent a day with him. I liked him very, very much.
He's the one, I was at Dean Martin's house and Sinatra came in and Burl said to him, make yourself at home, Frank, hit somebody. Well, you see, it's right on target. And the guys that make fun of him, the younger guys, can't do it. They're not in the service of the audience. Therefore, it's a fraud. That's the reason I keep doing it. It's not to make a living, but a reason, buy the paper and I'll get the jokes together and hope to meet the audience somewhere. Unfortunately, Lucy honors that commitment, but she's unlike anybody. That's why I wanted you to come up.
How would you like to be remembered?
Productive years. How productive were those years in LA going to meetings and nobody making the pictures? A lot of LA was really deadbeat time up there at the Glen. And
That's not how you want to be remembered.
no.
How do you want to be remembered?
Yeah. I figured your take on everything changed since I saw you. When I looked at your come from, How long do you know the girl you were with last night? How long have you known her?
15 years.
I think the world kicks the hell out of people. When I met China, she was just starting the Woody Allen movie. And she was 23. It takes a toll. But you can't become one of them. Besides, it's crowded over there. It's waitlisted. Now, you knew some good guys along the way. I never knew John.
You would have loved him and he would have loved you.
Yeah, I believe you. Yoko keeps sending me that message,
Yes.
on Mort's birthday.
Yes. She's the real deal. The real deal.
I don't know what this is about, It's whatever we make up. That's what Charlie Brown says, When he says something profound, he said, "Where did you get that?" He says, "I made it up." He was a good guy, Schultz. Used to hang around the Hungry Eye. Enrico was a real guy. In retrospect, what they chase does not distinguish them, chasing to... Cabot thinks it's a great day to be on the Jimmy Fallon show. Those are all choices you make.
When people think of Mort Sahl 10 or 20 years from now, or 100, what would you like them to think about?
Well, I don't have any preference. I hope that the observations make them laugh at the time and consider something I hadn't considered prior to when I got out there. I'm trying to keep the act fresh. That's the commitment, and it's going good. We're adding a night. Of course, the dream is that a blizzard will hit these people and they'll wake up. But that's unlikely. That doesn't mean you give up, but maybe, I don't know, maybe short-term gains. Hillary Clinton or not even the news. The good guys winning once in a while. When you hear something really good, I wrote Bill Holman an email to tell him I understood an arrangement he made of Everything Happens to Me in '57. And he felt glorious for a few minutes. But the subtlety of the work, recorded at Newport in '57, I wish I could recapture the feeling I had when I went to see that band. Those were some good times. But we've got a little clan up here, it's amazing. Lucy and Chris, there's few things I send to him that he doesn't understand or get in front of me. Or Kathleen. There's a little, there's about a half a dozen around here that care, would look for you if you didn't show up at the restaurant.
Would look for you
like
if you
that,
didn't show up.
Yeah, that's really how I'd measure it.
Are you happy these days?
I'm lonesome, but I'm happy when I talk to those aforementioned people and they have an appreciation of the way I feel about things. They're intellectually curious, so that when somebody comes up here like Woody, who's burned out, they can also tell when people aren't burned out. I came up here, I wasn't burned out.
I have a few more questions.
Yeah.
And then, are you hungry?
A little bit.
All right.
I know a couple of good joints.
All right. Do a few more questions and go to a good joint and have a meal, okay?
Okay.
First, is there any question that you wanted to have asked of you that was never asked of you?
It would be nice if somebody said, "Why isn't it America anymore?"
Mort, why isn't it America anymore?
Because they grabbed for the buck and they were ready to sell their mother for it. In other words, we're not made to be robots. And they're trying to appease us by giving us things, Would you like option 8.4, press here, your thumbprint? It's not enough. It's okay, but it's not enough. I haven't seen anybody run out and buy an iWatch. Remember when I used to buy all those watches?
Oh gosh, you had more watches than anybody I knew.
except Robin. He had a lot of watches too. And there's a joke they often don't get. I wear the watch he gave me, and I tell him multi-functions. And I said, when you press this button, it presses back. That's really like him. Boy, how's your Yiddish? Gitten and Shuma.
I don't have...
There's something very Jewish about his work, by the way.
There's something very Jewish about Robin Williams' work.
There's some kind of insights. I was sitting across the street in the depot one day, and a woman came over to me. She said, have you seen Mr. Williams' movie, Mrs. Doubtfire? I said, yes. She said, well, don't you think that's great? I said, why is it great? She said, well, he dresses up as a woman. I said, no, it's not what it's about. And he's laughing in the background. I said, it's about the utter humiliation we will undergo to prove to a girl we love her. Because there's a danger she might not appreciate it. And he laughed and laughed. One night in here, Shelley Berman was here, and he forgot his act because he realized he was doing a rotary phone. And he got shaken, and he forgot his act. So Robin prompted him from the balcony in Yiddish the rest of the routine. He loves dialects, A very unusual guy, but not for the usual reasons.
You knew Robin Williams, and you knew him well.
Bit.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you wrote a movie with or for Robin Williams.
Yeah, I did.
Did you know the depth of his sadness and depression during the course of your relationship?
The managers didn't want it because I had written it, which is dumb. They're not capitalists after all, underneath it all. It was about a guy who believes in the movies to a point where he can't live. And he sues the movies. He says, I have no marriage, I have no home, you promised me this, I romanticize, and he sues the movies. So a guy like the late Jerry Weintraub said, this is the mother lode. We'll fight him in court, we'll get all this free space. And he goes into court and talks about the movies. He says, I took girls to the movies and I loved them because you said it would work out. And you guys knew that wasn't true. And then Weintraub stands up and says to him in the finale, you put your money down, you took your chances. Why aren't you realistic? And Weintraub's wife stands up and says, I loved you because you were like him, and you're not anymore. They didn't even want to make it. They got it for about $12.50. But he could have played the hell out of the idealist. He sues the movies, all the studios, and they dominate television, and the judge is fighting with his wife at night after the session is televised. So I thought it would have been good. And I give it away here for nothing. It's a great idea. And he bought it.
Do you ever feel that you may have been seduced by the movies?
Well, it's highly possible.
That they weren't real. That they were movies. They were not.
That's where I took the girls. That was the date. And then when I got famous, I went with Paul Newman and his wife in Beverly Hills. And then I met Bob Kaufman, a writer, and we talked about the movies and why this works. Although he didn't share any of my other views, certainly not politically. But yeah, it's mythology. You're right about that. It's mythology, but that's okay. It's like going to see David Copperfield.
A word about fame. You've been famous most of your life.
Yeah.
Most people, upon hearing your name or seeing you, they know who you are on a show business level.
I was persistent.
What's the worst part of being famous?
Being lonesome. Of course it is. Being lonesome and feeling like the guy on the cross. Father, why have you forsaken me? Why am I in a Milwaukee airport and none of the food stands are open? It's that thing. Does God know that I'm alone in this room? Of course it is. I don't know how the other people translate that. But yeah, mostly. What I used to do in the old days, if I took a girl out, I'd bring her to the show. And then I'd go out with her. So she'd see me, in fighting mode. That worked for a while.
Were there any girls that you took out who saw the show?
Yeah.
And after the show decided not to go out for the dinner?
No, it's usually somebody I invited. No, at the Hungry Eye, people would wander in. I met a lot of girls when I first started up here. But everybody's beguiled by the action, just like they are with a big band. But you don't have that anymore. You have people, what do they have now, bluegrass music?
Yes, yes.
I was never as tolerant as you were about the music. I was ready to go to war with them, because they didn't hold up the tradition. But people just do what they can do. They just get mad at them. It's a waste of life. I mean, to be part of the Kenton Band, to be able to buy that at iTunes now, but nobody will ever have that feeling again. Nobody will ever go into a ballroom and hear that. Nobody will come back from France and hear the Glenn Miller Band. They won't do that anymore. They didn't fight to keep it alive. You got to fight to keep it alive. It's a small thing. Turn on YouTube and see if they're seduced when they're around. That's all you can do. And if you can find somebody in your generation that understands it anyway, you're well ahead of the game. I don't think it's ever too late for love. I have an example around me now, not for me, but for a friend. People are open to that. I don't think they can find it. I think they're afraid to admit it. It's a vulnerability.
You piqued my curiosity.
Yeah.
Don't mention the name of your friend. But tell me what's going on.
He's getting on in life, and it's all been a flop up to now. But he's met somebody that's extraordinary. And all he has to do is leave the door ajar, and he can still be part of the human race. And he's an outstanding guy. And that encourages me. He isn't speaking Esperanto out there. See, if women would let themselves, I think they're open to it. But they had fathers too, they're scared. Or maybe a couple of bad marriages. And then you got the lawyers in there who are going to satisfy themselves. But they don't satisfy anybody. This is expensive land up here.
Yeah.
It's full of divorcees.
Yeah.
Your
friend who's leaving the door ajar.
Yeah.
Does that mean that he's allowing a part of himself to be loved?
Yeah. In other words, there's a mystique about this woman who got through those sheets of ice. And that really encourages me. That's why if I made a movie, I'd make a movie about that. And I have a belief that it would get through. I don't think Woody would, but I would. And not because I want to squander their money at Sony. I think it would work. I think people would stand in line to see a dream. Just like a good band would make it now. But we're never going to know because nobody ventures there. They all know how much money they can lose. It's like an American disease. Although, you could put Frank Sinatra in an auditorium or Judy Garland, and you could lose yourself there for 4 hours. Who do you know today that can do that? Not Barbra Streisand. She aims there, but she doesn't get there. It's strident. It's not This is my heart. Just look at it. That's pretty good. Jolson, Danny Kaye, those kind of people. Even Burl, that we were talking about before. When I was in trouble in LA, he came in and was the opening act for me. It was a musician strike. He opened the show because he thought the show is bigger than the people. And he's right in that respect. But I'm a romantic. You know, my answers are, they may not work. That's what gets my juices flowing, you know. It's not the same town it was in the Hungry, huh? That was different. There's nobody like Enrico. You know, PBS did a show about him. And the girl researching it said to my wife, Kensley, she said, is he a Bohemian? I said, no. Is he from San Francisco? No, he's from Bakersfield. Is he Italian? No. She said, well, then he's a fraud. And Kensley said, no, he's not. He didn't see a world he loved, so he created one. That's pretty good. She was a very good writer. Kensley wrote the syllabus for my course at Claremont called The Revolutionary's Handbook. And the English department said it was the best syllabus they'd ever received. And she wrote it, but she lives in a world where people don't want her to be anything but a stewardess. She's very capable, great imagination. That's a course at Claremont. A kid came in and he said to me, can I write a term paper about Cheney? I said, yeah. He said, can you start me off? I said, yes. Don't report on a villain. Find out who he works for. And he got an A+. It's the best paper I ever read. He went to the core of how the devil seduces those people. He could seduce most of the people we know that we have in common. It's too bad, but it's a reality.
Would it embarrass you upon closing? I have loved you so much for so long.
Same here, kid.
You have been...
You're fearless.
No. You're fearless, and I listened. And if I inherited just a tad of that fearlessness, I would be tapping myself on the shoulder.
Those guys ain't gonna win. They never win. That's really what Preston Sturges wrote about in the movie. They don't really win. They slowed the game down, but they don't really win. I mean, come on. I don't think they do. There are too many other good examples. I mean, think back to all the musicians you know, and you love to hear still, and they never win. One guy like Preston Sturges, just one, that's all you need. It's not around now, but nothing is. It's a kind of a fake, you know, with those vulgarization, but it'll never take the place of talent. It'll just clutter everything up so that the good guys get discouraged, I think. They don't see any examples of the idealism succeeding, and they're few and far between. But they don't win. I mean, what did they leave Hillary Clinton with? A wiped off server and a lot of bankers who were ready to run away from her. But it's all kind of funny if you think about it. Make a good movie. Would make a great movie, this ambitious woman and this guy that doesn't love her anymore, that's Clinton. And he doesn't know how to avoid her. So he feeds her ambition. There's the movie. I don't know who he'd sell it to, though. Not Sony, because Julian Assange is tapping the wire.
Thank you for doing this with me.
I love you, kid. You're real.
I love you dearly.
I know it.
You've meant the world to me.
In too many occasions to doubt it.
I'll never, ever forget you.
I'm sorry I didn't bring my sprouts, but I was thinking too much about the show, you know.
You're the
Okay,
best.
pal.
You're the best.
Yeah.